Many clients come into our office with injuries that exceed the value of the liability limits of an at-fault driver.
I was at a stop and a car rear-ended me from behind. I didn't see the vehicle that hit me. I was taken to the hospital by ambulance.
In Lynn's case, as she mentioned, we ultimately got all of her bills paid, but they exhausted her no-fault limits, which were only $15,000 per person, which is the minimum limits in Delaware. As a result, Lynn has a significant thousands of dollars beyond her no-fault limits in medical bills.
It was the medical portion that was the biggest problem. They felt that my treatment was excessive, that I didn't sustain enough injury to continue the treatment that I was getting just maybe 3-4 months after the accident. They said it was excessive treatment.
So they tried to cut off your treatment.
Speculating about the motivations of insurance companies is, would you, as an insurance company, want to take on another $485,000 of risk for another $92 to $120 a year in payments?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. That, in my opinion, is why a lot of insurance agents and insurance companies do not fully explain to their policyholders or the potential purchasers of their product what the different coverages cover, mm-hmm. and go through in detail what it costs for each increment of additional coverage. Now, they may make you sign a form mm-hmm. that has that, but you know what it's like. You got all these forms, right. You don't understand it. You sign here, you sign there, and next thing you know, you got a policy that's inadequate.
When they're explaining that, they don't sell you it's $5 or $6 more. They're more, oh, it'll be $200-300 on top of, maybe whatever you had. So instead of you looking at a policy that may run you around $100, they kind of put you in a scare saying it's going to be about $300 to $400.
And most people don't even understand uninsured motorist coverage. Uninsured motorist coverage is a coverage that you buy that protects you, occupants of your car, and your family members should the accident be caused by someone who flees the scene and cannot be identified, or who doesn't have insurance, which occurs frequently. They need to ask the right questions. They need to insist on understanding what each type of coverage that they're purchasing under their policy does for them. In other words, in what instances does it apply? Is it enough? What is the cost for additional insurance? And then they must make a personal financial decision as to whether they should carry higher limits for different types of coverages. Most people look at insurance as an inconvenience, something that's a necessary evil, until they need it. And then when they need it, they regret having not taken greater efforts to understand what they're buying, what the different coverages apply to, and why they should have carried higher limits.
Make sure that it's explained in detail what you're getting. When I purchased this policy, it wasn't explained to me in depth of the coverage limits. It was just, you can have the state minimum and this and that.
If you can't afford to be out of work for a year or two, then you need at least enough coverage to cover your lost wages for a year or two, mm-hmm. and what you might think the value of a devastating injury might be to you. Mm-hmm. An accident is going to happen sometime. Hopefully it doesn't, but it's likely over your lifetime. And uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage is the only coverage that you buy that protects yourself mm-hmm. and your family and the occupants of your car. Mm-hmm. So it all starts there. You need to buy as much of that as you can afford.